Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for being here. Today we're going to talk about some of the most important legal and ethical issues that impact both students and educators. Specifically, we'll focus on individuals with disabilities and the rights of educators related to academic freedom and free speech. We'll also take a look at student expression and religion in schools as well. This presentation was created by myself, Cooper Wilson, and my colleague, Paige Ayers. All right. Our goals today are to increase awareness of the laws protecting students with disabilities, understand what those laws mean in practice, and explore the limits and protections of teacher rights when it comes to speech and instruction. We'll also talk about the protections students have when it comes to expressing themselves in school, as well as the do's and don'ts of when it comes to talking or teaching about religion. We'll wrap up with the best practices that you can use to help stay legally informed and ethically grounded. Students with disabilities are entitled to equal educational opportunities. As educators, we're legally required to ensure that every student can access and participate in learning, regardless of their physical or learning differences. The responsibility lies with all of us, from general educators to specialists and administrators. There's three cornerstone laws, IDEA, Section 504, and the ADA. IDEA guarantees a free appropriate public education, or FAPE, in the least restrictive environment, or LRE. Section 504 ensures that no student is excluded or discriminated against in any program receiving federal funding. ADA goes even further, protecting individuals with disabilities in all areas of public life. Our responsibilities are very practical. We must help develop and implement individualized education programs, or IEPs. We also need to ensure that accommodations are in place, such as an extended time or modified assignments. Communication with families and support teams is critical, and a good rule of thumb, if it's written in an IEP or 504, we must follow it. Students do not shed their First Amendment right whenever they enter the school building. They are allowed to dress in clothing or wear accessories meant to make a political stand, talk about political topics, or anything they choose, as long as it is not disruptive or does not incite violence or promote drug use, or as long as it does not go against your school policy. Some key cases for student expression that have had a big impact on student expression in schools are listed above. In Tinker v. Des Moines, the court ruled that students or teachers do not shed their constitutional rights at the schoolhouse gate. In Hazelwood v. Des Moines, the court ruled that educators do not offend the First Amendment by exercising editorial control over the style and content of student speech in a school-sponsored activity. In Morse v. Frederick, the court ruled that public high schools may restrict student speech at school events when that speech is reasonably viewed as promoting illegal drug use. As educators, we need to make everybody feel safe and comfortable at school. Even if we may not agree with everyone's opinions and beliefs, we must give them the right to express their beliefs as long as they are doing so in a manner that the school allows. Moving to academic freedom of speech. Teachers do have academic freedom, but it's not absolute. It allows us to explore content, encourage, inquire, and challenge students intellectually. But we must stay within the boundaries of our curriculum, district standards, and the maturity level of our students. Academic freedom protects ideas, but not personal agendas. This is where the First Amendment comes into play. In Pickering v. Board of Education, the court ruled that teachers can speak as private citizens on matters of public concern as long as it does not disrupt school operations. In Tinker v. Des Moines, the court affirmed that teachers don't give up their rights at the schoolhouse gate, but again, their speech must not interfere with instruction. Be especially careful on social media. Posts that are disruptive or reflect poorly on the school can lead to disciplinary action. freedom of speech does not mean freedom from consequences. We must always think carefully before posting online, even on personal accounts. Avoid discussing controversial topics in class unless they're directly tied to your subject matter and standards. Follow the district's code of ethics and social media policy. Moving on to religion in schools. Teachers are entitled to their own belief system, but must not force or persuade anyone to feel the same way. We have to respect opinions of others and make sure that we stay neutral when talking about any religious topics. Here are 3 court cases that have played a big role in religion in school. In Engel v. Vital, the court ruled that school-sponsored prayer is prohibited in public schools. Even if the prayer is voluntary, it is still a violation of the Establishment Clause because it represents a government-endorsed religion. In Abington v. Shemp, the court ruled that it's a violation of the Constitution to have daily Bible readings in school. And in Lemon v. Kurtzman, the court established a 3-component test called the Lemon Test. The Lemon Test asks 3 questions to determine whether the Constitution is violated or not. Number 1 would be, does the statute have a secular legislative purpose? Number 2, does the statute neither advance or inhibit religion? And number 3, does the statute create entanglement of government and religion? When teaching or talking about religion in school, make sure that you maintain a neutral stance to ensure you do not encourage or discourage a specific religion. If you're ever unsure of what you're teaching may be constitutional or not, you can always use the Lemon Test. In summary, our legal and ethical duties are not abstract. They're very real and affect our daily work. Students with disabilities need us to uphold their rights with care and consistency. And while we do have rights as educators, we also have to be responsible. By staying informed and practicing professionalism, we help create a safer, more supportive school for everyone. Students have rights in school, and we must make sure that we do not infringe on those rights just because they are in the school building. It is important that we remain neutral when discussing religious topics. Although we may not have the same opinions or beliefs as others, we still have to respect them. Are there any questions?